Welcome back everyone. We're going to be doing another comparison today between the Google Pixel 4a, the newly released one, versus the Samsung Galaxy S10 that came out last year. Now, this is a big thing I have to say. The Samsung Galaxy S10 is still more expensive than the Google Pixel 4a. I can't even talk today again. This used to be, it was almost $1,000 phone. I think it was like $899 when it came out last year. And it's a good phone. I like this phone a lot. And the Pixel 4a is pretty much on the other side of things. This is not a $1,000 phone. This is not even a $500 phone. This is a brand new $350 device, which is insane. You're going to be hard to find a Samsung Galaxy S10 for $350 in the used market. I've seen a lot of things go for like about that $400 price tag. $350 is kind of pushing it. That's more like the S10e price. But I have seen some of these go for about $100 more on Amazon. So you can pick these things up for about $450 on there. So if you want to pick up a Galaxy S10, I'll leave the cheapest one that I find on Amazon linked down below, so you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now we'll go ahead and start off with the screens. And what's funny is, side by side, you can kind of see like, yeah, the Samsung Galaxy S10 is definitely the bigger one. In the hand though, it doesn't really feel that much bigger or that much longer. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But you can tell some other things that are different with these devices for sure. And you still have hole punch displays on both, which is really nice. I'll start off with the Galaxy S10 though. You still have that 6.1 inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's 1440p, and like I said last year, I think this is probably one of the best panels that came out. I think the OnePlus 7 Pro is still up there because of that 90 Hz. But this was the way it looked, the way it felt, everything. This was definitely one of my favorite panels last year, and it's still an extremely good display. You have that hole punch display up there too, which looks extremely good. It doesn't feel like a bad phone, it doesn't look like a bad display. Viewing angles are great, and you still have that fingerprint sensor in the display as well, which is super cool. That's something that a lot of phones don't even have yet, and that's something that a lot of phones still don't have, but this one does have that capability, which is really cool, the fingerprint sensor in the display. The rest of the display is good, very little bezel, and there's really not too much to complain about it. And what's funny is that with the Google Pixel 4a, it kind of looks the same, even if you're looking at it through this screen. Even if you look at it through this camera that you're looking at it through this video right now, you can see that they kind of look the same. However, looks can be deceiving, and that's not necessarily always the case. With the Google Pixel 4a, you have that 5.81 inch OLED display on this panel, so it's about whatever, like 0.3 inches smaller than this one, the S10. But you don't really notice it, like I'm being honest, like they kind of feel the same. You do have a little bit of a bigger bezel around the Google Pixel 4a, but even then, like if I didn't point it out, you may have not even realized it, you may have not even noticed it. The best thing about the Pixel 4a is that there's not like massive bezels on the top and bottom. The bezel is pretty much like equaled out everywhere. You don't have a notch on the screen as well, which is literally amazing. You have that hole punch display, which is also really cool. And for a $350 phone, it's pretty hard to beat this type of design. And I'm curious to see where we're going to be at 5 years from now, you know what I mean? Like this may have been a $1,000 phone, including the S10 Plus and all those phones, but like just think back to when like the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, when those were the flagship phones. And just imagine a couple years later that this phone would be technically a budget phone in terms of the design. Like it's pretty insane in my opinion. So definitely the S10 has a better display, but I still had to give major props for the Pixel 4a just because of the way this display looks. In terms of thickness, you can see that they kind of are the same thickness. Actually, the S10 I think is a little bit thinner. It gives the facade that it is because it kind of like, edges out a little bit. So it's kind of like that waterfall display on the side. So it kind of gives the impression that it's thinner. It's a really thin looking phone. They both have headphone jacks as well, which is really cool. However, the S10 still has microSD card slot expansion, which is really cool. The Pixel 4a does not have any type of capability like that, which honestly kind of sucks. And on the back of very different setups, you can see a single camera setup on the Pixel 4a and a triple camera setup on the Galaxy S10. And I think we already know which one's going to be the winner there, but I'll hit on them in a second. Glass back on the Galaxy S10, which feels really good. Like this phone still feels like a very $1,000 phone-ish. Like it still feels good. Obviously, it's not even that old. The Pixel 4a though definitely feels like a super, plastic-made phone because it is a plastic-made phone. You have that fingerprint sensor right here, so this is definitely a cheaper phone, but Google had to do it because they had to meet that $350 price tag, so I can't really blame them and fault them for it. So definitely when it comes down to the body and everything, the Samsung Galaxy S10 wins by far. I mean, it's better feeling, it's better looking, like it's just a winner overall. But the Google Pixel 4a is right behind it. There's really not a crazy big difference in my opinion in terms of the way they look, the way they feel and everything. That's where the big differences are, and obviously you can't tell how they feel from the camera, but I can tell you right now from me holding them both, there's definitely some bigger differences. In terms of software, this is actually pretty interesting. The Pixel 4a might be the winner here. In terms of longevity, the Pixel 4a is probably still going to win, but in terms of the software and everything like that, the nitty gritty and the One UI versus the Android thing that we're always kind of talking about, stock Android is still way better than One UI. I prefer stock Android more than One UI, but I prefer Oxygen OS above all. And I think, dude, when you look at this device and you're messing with it, I mean, look at it. There's some similarities here and there, but stock Android just still looks so good. Like, you can't deny it. Anytime you go to anything, all these apps and everything, they just look so good. I mean, I've shown you guys over and over again, and I still prefer stock Android. It looks so good. One UI is definitely getting better. This is still on Android 10. This one's going to be getting Android 11 very soon, and I'll still tell you, from now till the next day to the next year or whatever, stock Android is still far ahead of Samsung Galaxy's One UI. They need to go ahead and step their game up. I think they can do so much better. But definitely when it comes down to it, the Pixel 4a kind of wins in the software department. Now hitting on the performance, I'll go ahead and do a little bit of speed test between these two. The Pixel 4a has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G chipset, an Adreno 618 GPU, and 6 gigs of RAM, but the Samsung Galaxy S10 has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset, an Adreno 640 GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM on all the models that are supported. So with that being said, let's go and do a little bit of a comparison. Now that we're back, let me go ahead and clear out all these apps in the background, and there's a lot of them. Okay, so I have a ton of these third-party apps that we can kind of run through. Let's do Facebook, 3, 2, 1. Definitely Pixel 4a, I think, was the faster one there. I was surprised by that. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. They both were pretty much the same there. Instagram, 3, 2, 1. Okay, both were almost identical there too. Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. They both were kind of the same there too. Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And the Pixel 4a, I think, was actually the faster one there too. Let's go and play a game real quick and see if there's any differences. I don't think there is. It's a pretty basic game, but still kind of interesting to see. They're about the same there too. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go ahead and do Temple Run, 3, 2, 1. And we were in a game here, so I will have to restart this specific one. Temple Run again, 3, 2, 1. And it's looking like the Galaxy S10 may be the faster one in this specific case. And as you can see, whatever happened. I really wasn't looking that well, but I'll go ahead and hop out of this one anyway. Let's go ahead and end it off with the Real Racing 3. 3, 2, 1. Okay, a little bit of a glitchiness, but it's okay. And look at those whole bunch displays. I just realized how close they are to one another, like in terms of the way they look and everything. We do have to download it, unfortunately, on the Samsung Galaxy S10, which is really weird. Let's go and do something like the Play Store. 3, 2, 1. And something like this, they look kind of the same. In terms of loading, you can kind of see, I think the Galaxy S, actually they look kind of the same. There wasn't really that big of a difference. We can go and load up this one. Yeah, they kind of load the same. There's really not too many differences between those two. Let's go and do the camera, 3, 2, 1. And yeah, I think performance-wise, they're more similar than not. Like, I didn't see a crazy big difference between these two. They look kind of the same. And if I'm being honest, I think performance-wise, they're kind of the same. But maybe you guys got a different opinion for my specific speed comparison, but that's kind of what I saw from that. So let me go and hit on the cameras very briefly. The Google Pixel 4a has a single 12.2 megapixel wide-angle lens, where the Samsung Galaxy S10 has a triple camera setup, 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, and 16 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. And definitely, both phones have their capabilities, but the Samsung Galaxy S10 is clearly the winner in my opinion. The quality of the photos was much better, but on top of that, you have the ability of shooting 4K at 60 frames, where you don't have that capability on the Google Pixel 4a. Is that a big deal? Well, that's something you're going to have to ask yourself, but in my opinion, it kind of is a little bit, and I feel like the Samsung Galaxy S10 is by far the better winner in terms of the camera. And even on the front too, you have single camera setups on both, but the Samsung Galaxy S10 has a 10 megapixel sensor, Pixel 4a has an 8 megapixel sensor. You can do 1080p videos here, but you can do 4K at 60 on the Samsung Galaxy S10, which that is a really, really cool capability, and I love that, and that probably makes the S10 the better camera there. Now ending it off with the battery life, there are some key differences right here. You have a 3,400 mAh battery on the Galaxy S10, but a 3,140 mAh battery on the Pixel 4a. And actually when it comes down to the battery life, you may actually have better battery life on the Pixel 4a, but you have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging on the Samsung Galaxy S10, where you don't have either of those capabilities on the Pixel 4a. Reverse wireless charging, like, okay, that makes sense, but wireless charging, I feel like they could have put it in the Pixel 4a, but they didn't, so it is what it is. But really when it comes down to it, the battery life is probably the better choice on the Samsung Galaxy S10. than on the Pixel 4a when it comes down to it. Now to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, which specific phone should you pick up? They're kind of around the same price, not really, there's a $100 difference between these, but in my opinion, the Samsung Galaxy S10 is probably the better way to go in every single way you look at it. In terms of kind of even performance too, there was kind of like a tie a little bit. But in terms of the battery life, the features, the fingerprint sensor, expandable storage, the screen, the build quality, the cameras, this one pretty much knocks off all the parks, which makes sense. This is a $1,000 phone from last year almost. Where the Pixel 4a, for it to even be kind of close to it is pretty insane. And to even be compared by it is really impressive. So I can definitely tell you in my opinion, the Pixel 4a has my hands of approval. I think it's really, really cool. The Galaxy S10, obviously the better one, but I'm still really surprised about the Google Pixel 4a for sure. So that really pretty much covers it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.